Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. For I am the man himself, the one that is superior to the man. And we are here for some baseball news to catch up on a couple retirements that's happened at the tail end of the offseason, early into the start of spring training. The World Baseball Classic has begun. So we have 6 retirements that I quickly just want to, just glaze over to advise that have happened fairly recently on baseball. Some of these guys, did have some, nothing too big. Well, one is a pretty known sidearm pitcher. We had another all-star or two in here. Some good players, actually, from this list that announced their retirement that are moving on to the next part of their lives. So I'll quickly just share my thoughts on them really quick. Starting off with, of course, the well-known sidearm pitcher, Darren O'Day, who back on January 30th, 2023, announced his retirement through his personal Twitter account on that day. He said, "The mental, physical, and time demands have finally outweighed my love for the game. When I started in 2006, I knew O'Day had been pitching for a very, very long time. I didn't realize, he was still around at times, too. He didn't know if he was good enough to compete in the Major League Baseball, but was determined to keep going until someone told me otherwise. Hope anyone out there who does things a little different can find inspiration in my story." O'Day was an undrafted NCAA free agent out of the University of Florida, and quickly latched on with the Angels, making his major debut with the organization in 2008. He would pitch up for 6 different total teams during his 15-year career, which is the Angels, Mets, Rangers, Orioles, Braves, and Yankees. He registered a .259 ERA with 637 strikeouts, 166 holds, 21 saves, and 609 frames. His best year on the mound, of course, was in 2015 when he earned his only All-Star appearance, having an ERA of 1.52, 82 strikeouts, and 65 in the third inning with 14 walks for the Orioles, who had signed him to a 4-year deal after that. Again, of course, he was definitely best fit for, being in the bullpen, being the sidearm pitcher he was. Between 2009 and 2021, he posted a .237 ERA in 586 appearances and collected 21 saves. He also had 30 postseason appearances in that time frame as well, including 4 in the World Series in 2010 with the Rangers. Last winter, O'Day had signed a minor league deal with the Braves when he put up a .415 ERA, 26 strikeouts, 10 walks across 21 and 2/3 innings. He had suffered in the first half. He had suffered a calf injury, which ended, would lead to his season ending in the in September. And he had last pitched as a major leaguer on July 11th this past season against the Mets. Again, I definitely wish Darren O'Day the best of luck in his retirement. Again, he was very well known for the sidearm throw. Anytime I'd be with my friends and we'd be pretending to be pitchers when we threw a baseball, and of course the underarm, sidearm type thing, it was always Darren O'Day. And again, I didn't realize he still pitched. I thought he was older than he was. He's only 40 now. I thought he was older than that. I thought he pitched back in the 90s also, but Nope. He had been only around since 2008 in the big leagues. And again, an impressive, very strong reliever over 15 years. More of like a 7th or 8th inning man. Never really took sole role of like the closer's role. But he got the job done a lot. And he only one-time All-Star, but I'm pretty sure he will definitely be more recognized from that. So Darren O'Day is one man who's recently announced retirement. Then the next day, it was announced that Dexter Fowler, who was a big part of the 2000 World Series Cubs, he announced his retirement after a 14-year career and 36 years old. He had said on his Instagram, "It's here, I'm hanging up my cleats. From an 18-year-old draft pick in Colorado to a vet in Anaheim, there are a few things I will never forget. Getting that call to the big leagues in September 2008, my world was spinning. My first, you've been traded to the Houston Astros, heart-pounding call. The feeling of bliss when hearing the world's all-star. Never knew that it felt like to be that guy. Forever grateful, soaking wet and freezing on the field with tears in my eyes after winning the World Series in Chicago. The comfort of calling St. Louis home and being a Redbird. Today is one of those moments where you metaphorically step down from your throne with a standing ovation, a tip of the cap, and the world stops spinning. I'm mostly proud to look back at my career, knowing that I played the game the right way and did my best to make a positive impact beyond win. Denver, Houston, Chicago, St. Louis, and Anaheim, my family, friends, teammates, and staff, thank you for 14 years. I gave you my all." Again, and Fowler had started his career originally with the Rockies. He was a former draft pick of the Rockies. In 2004, he made to the majors 4 years later, having a little bit like a 13-game cup of coffee with the Rockies, and found himself full-time in the big leagues. Now, of course, the first few years, Fowler was okay in Colorado. Didn't stand out as much in Colorado as most players do. He had spent 8 years averaging 541 play appearances in 130 games per season, batting around .269 with the Rockies, Astros, Cubs, which he probably had most of success, and the Cardinals. He was traded along the way twice from the Rockies to the Astros and from the Astros to the Cubs before reaching free agency. Of course, he then went to the Cubs, and he was supposed to have just like a 1 year, deal with them for him free agency. He had just .250 in 156 games, while tallying a best 690 play appearances before he went out for free agency. Almost signed with the Orioles, and then he stunned and came back into the Cubs clubhouse on a new 1 year deal. And of course, that just put Fowler up at the top of the lineup. Yes, that .250 batting average is not a standout, but I still feel, for some reason, there was something about the Cubs' chemistry that seemed very off when Dexter Fowler was not in that lineup. When he was in that lineup, it felt like they really had something going with him. And again, his numbers didn't completely stand out that much, but he just seemed like he was like a big fitting piece, like an unsung hero for the team. 8 months later, he became the only player to ever lead off a Game 7 World Series with a home run. 2016 was definitely the best of Fowler's career, not only being the World Series. He had .276, made his lone All-Star appearance, and then in the 17-game World Series march they had to the Cubs win the World Series, Fowler hit .250 with 3 home runs and 5 doubles. He would then earn a 5-year deal, $82.5 million with the division rival Cardinals. Had a strong first year around before injuries started to take roll. Over the next 3 seasons after that, Fowler played in just 271 games of course, which was a shortened 2020 season. And during that time, collectively batted .218. The Cardinals had traded him to the Angels in February of 2021, and then he played just 7 games into the season with the Halos, and he tore his ACL. He rehabbed and then latched on a minor league deal with the Blue Jays prior to the 2022 season, but Fowler was granted his release after just 3 games in AAA. Altogether, a little bit of an overrated player, but again, he did have his contributions at times. It's mainly with the Cubs. Again, even though he didn't have the most standout numbers, his best time for sure was definitely his 2 seasons with the Cubs. Again, he overall hit .259, 127 home runs, 253 doubles, 82 triples, 149 stolen bases, 817 runs. He scored. He drove in 517 and had about 1,300 hits. He, of course, will be fondly remembered for his role in the Cubs' historic 2016 win, both the regular season and production, and his Game 7 long ball, and then just the personality, charisma, and just frequently, throughout his career. Fowler had a great, productive career. A little overrated, but I still think he was definitely a strong player. As he himself said in his retirement announcement as well, stay tuned for what's next. What is next? Of course, we will have to wait and see, as Fowler definitely, wants us to come along for the ride. But that's their big congrats there again to Dexter Fowler for an outstanding 14-year career in the big leagues. Again, a little overrated. Best year for sure was with the Cubs, but he still had some great numbers, great smile, great man all around. Congrats, Dexter Fowler. Here's another one that had a big piece and was part of a team building towards the future until a tragedy happened. Justin Bour, on February 11th, at just 34 years old, announced his retirement as well over Twitter, saying there comes a time in every player's career when they know it's time to hang them up, and today is that day for me. Thank you, baseball, and everyone that helped me along the way. He played in over 1,950 plate appearances, had a .253 average, but hit 92 home runs in 559 big league games, as he played with the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Angels. He was originally a 25th round draft pick for the Cubs back in 2009, and then the Marlins grabbed him in the 2013 Rule 5 draft, which of course led to Bour's debut in 2014, and he quickly took over as the Marlins' starting first baseman for the next couple of years, including in 2015 when he was still eligible for the Rookie of the Year award. He finished 5th that year with 23 home runs in that performance. And again, from 2014 to 2018, he hit 262. He had 262 with 83 home runs, and I believe he participated in the home run derby as well. He was a nice power piece and a great solid addition for the Miami Marlins. Of course, like I said, he was part of the Marlins team that was building towards being a very, very strong team until the unfortunate death, of course, of Jose Fernandez. And, of course, that's when, they started the fire sale, trading away Giancarlo Stanton. They had traded away Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto. And, of course, you always got to give him the credit, Justin Bour as well, who, again, was, in my opinion, in my lifetime, one of the best Rule 5 draft picks I have seen. Provided some great power. Of course, he was traded to the Phillies in August of 2018. And then he was limited against him for salary arbitrage purposes. He also started to dip in offensive numbers. So, of course, the Phillies chose to non-tender him And then the Angels signed him, but he struggled and only played in 52 games with the Halos in 2019. And that was Bour's last stint in the majors, and apart from a 33-game stretch with the Giants AAA team in 2021, Bour then spent his last 3 pro seasons playing in foreign leagues, seeing time with Japan, South Korea, and just recently in Mexico. He is looking forward to giving back to the game that gave him so much, and his first step in retirement will be spend more time with his family and to finish his degree at George Mason University. Very nice. So he's going back to school and finishing his degree. Good for him. And of course, definitely, congratulations on the fine career for Bour. And again, I definitely think he was someone who, again, stands out because, like I said, he was, probably one of the best Rule 5 draft picks anybody's had in quite a long time. He was a great piece for that Marlins lineup. Again, had a lot of power between Stanton, Ozuna. Yelich at the time wasn't really like a big power guy, but he was still, like a solid odd base guy at the time. Justin Bour was also a great mix of power in there as well for the Marlins. So again, he was definitely part of a great team, but he unfortunately, when the Marlins started selling people away after the Fernandez death, his numbers just dipped outside the Marlins. But again, another solid brief career. Congrats to Justin Bour. Somebody else who actually was in the majors, went away for a few years to Japan, came back to the majors, had an explosive first season back. Well, start, then he just tapered down a little bit. Back to being basically what he was before. Eric Thames took to Instagram on February 16th and announced his retirement, saying, "In the year of our Lord 2023, he's gone. He gone. I've been so blessed over the last 14 years to call baseball my job. The friendships that'll last a lifetime, the memories that I'll never shut up about, and those that I'm sworn to secrecy to take to my grave." It was a very unique career, of course, for Thames, who spent a few decades crisscrossing all over the globe. He played professional baseball with the Blue Jays, and they drafted him his professional baseball life began when the Blue Jays drafted him out of Pepperdine University in 2008. He didn't make his MLB debut with the Blue Jays till 2011 and hit 12 home runs in 95 games, batting around .262. His sophomore year, though, things didn't go too well for Thames, as he had just .243 for the Jays, optioning him to the minors, and then he was traded to the Mariners in July, getting 14 games in with Seattle after the deal, and then the Mariners kept him in 2013 in the minors, but eventually designated him for assignment and traded him to the Orioles, and then the Astros on a waiver claim, and then neither team would call him up to the big leagues. After that season, he signed in Korea with the NC Dinos in 2014, which again transformed his career for sure. After being on roster bubbles in North America, he emerged and hit 37 home runs that season, hitting 47 the following year, and then 40 in the next 2 seasons. His 2015 season stands out as being exceptionally impressive, and he had also apparently stolen 40 bases as well during that time, crowning him the most valuable player in the league. And then, of course, after a strong 3-year stretch with the Dinos, he then returned back to Major League Baseball, signing a 3-year, $16 million deal with the Brewers. And, of course, I remember, funny thing about that was, he replaced Chris Carter, who was designated for assignment after he pretty much led the National League in home runs that year. I was surprised. Yes, Carter was not the best average guy. He had just hit for power. He led the National League in home runs, yet it still wasn't enough, and they still kicked through the curb for Eric Thames. But when he returned to the Brewers, he was able to transfer a decent amount of his success. He had 31 home runs in 2017. He got to a really hot start, I remember that season. But then he slowly slowed down, which knocked him down to 247. He would then have thumb surgery and kept him out of action for a while in the following year, but he was still able to hit 16 home runs in 96 games with some good power. Then another 25 in 2019, and then he hit 72 in a 3-year stretch with the Brewers. The last year saw the Brewers qualify for the wild card games in the Nationals. Eric Thames went 2 for 4, including a solo home run off of Max Scherzer. But the Braves lost 4-3 to the Nats, who would go on to win the World Series that year. And then that was the only MLB playoff game that Eric Thames ever played. Despite the solid stretch, though, the Brewers turned down a $7.5 million option for Thames in 2020, and instead went with a $1 million buyout instead. The Nationals scooped him up for $4 million, but struggled in the shortened 2020 season, hitting just .203 with 3 home runs in 41 games. He would then, of course, sign with the Yomiuri Giants of Japan's Nippon Professional Baseball League for 2021, but then he suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon after just 1 game with the club. He tried to return to the majors in 2022 by signing a minor deal with the Athletics, but struck out in 38% of his play appearances in AAA and got released after 22 games. And that, of course, made quite the journey again as Thames went all over the world. He had 96 home runs in his major league career, but he'll have to be best remembered by some fans for the magical 3-year run he had in the KBO, where he had 124 runs, stole 64 bases, scored 343 runs, and 382 RBIs. And again, he definitely didn't quite have the best success in America, but again, he found success somewhere else. So, another guy who went back and forth, got to America, went overseas, back to America, overseas. He went around quite a bit. But Thames deserves to sit back now and just relax and enjoy your retirement. Thanks for all you do, buddy. Another longtime player. Forgot about this guy. I'm so used to seeing him in an Indians uniform. But longtime Cleveland Indians second baseman Jason Kipnis also recently announced his retirement on February 20th, as he announced it on Twitter. And Kipnis' last appearance came with the Cubs back in the shortened 2020 season. He was drafted by the Cubs in the second round of the 2009 draft. He rose the ranks very quickly and, of course, would make his major league debut in 2011. And during a 36-game rookie stint, hit .272 with 7 homers. And that was enough for Kipnis to earn a starting second base job, and he wouldn't relinquish it for a number of seasons. He had .284 with 17 homers in 2013, earning a trip to the All-Star game, and finished 11th in the American League MVP voting. He was rewarded with a 6-year, $52.5 extension in April 2014. Although a disappointing season followed that, he would bounce back after that, hitting hitting .303 and making his second All-Star Game appearance. He also broke the Cleveland record for individual hits in May, picking up 51 in a month, which saw him hit .429 in that month, which was, very hot for sure. He also had another strong showing with fall in 2016, as he would also help the Indians get to Game 7 of the World Series against the Cubs. And then he would sit at just 86 between 2017 and 2019. Kipnis struggled those, hitting just .236. And then they declined his option for 2019, allowing Kipnis to become a free agent. He landed a minor league deal with the Cubs in February of 2020, and during the 44 games of the 60 games season, he had .237, and he landed a minor league deal with the Braves in 2021, but he would never crack the roster and was released at the end of the season. He did, of course, was a second baseman of his career. Later in his career, he transitioned to the outfield when he started to struggle a little bit. But he would finish his career with a .260 average, 126 home runs, and a little over 1,000 hits. as the 1,000th hit apparently came in grand style when he hit a grand slam against the White Sox in September of 2018. A very solid career for Kipnis, again, who was part of some very good winning seasons for the Cleveland Indians and was definitely a strong second baseman for at the time, and definitely one of the stronger second basemen in the league during the time he played as well. So, of course, I wish Kipnis as well the very best of luck. And just yesterday, the sixth and final person who was recently announced his retirement I want to talk about is 12-year veteran Mitch Moreland. 37 years old, confirmed his days were done after he didn't play during the 2022 season. And yeah, he called it a career. He was originally selected by the Rangers in the 17th round of the 2007 draft, and he would make it to the big leagues over 3 years later, making a strong impression with a .255 average and 9 homers in 173 play appearances as a rookie. The strong showing set the stage for a torrid postseason as well, where the 24-year-old hit .348 with a homer and 4 doubles, helping Texas advance to the World Series where they fell to the Giants 4-1. But from that point on, Moreland was very strong big leaguer with the teams he played for. He logged in regular time, slugging in the middle of the order for the Rangers, Red Sox, and briefly with the Padres and Athletics. Moreland would win a Gold Glove at first base with the Rangers, secured an All-Star nod with the Red Sox, who signed him as a free agent prior to the 2017 season, and twice re-signed him in free agency, first for 2 years from 2018-2019, then for another 1-year deal in 2020. The 2018 season was the big one. Moreland not only got to the All-Star game, but also from a big picture standpoint, Moreland's Rangers fell shy in consecutive World Series appearances, but that year, the Red Sox did capture the World Series as he was a part of it. Of course, he played a big role with the Sox that year, slashing .294 in 19 appearances in that World Series, which included a pinch hit 3-run homer at Dodger Stadium in the 7th inning of Game 4. A blast that jump-started a late-inning rally, which saw the Red Sox score 9 runs en route to a comeback victory. They would then trade Moreland, though, to the Padres for a pair of prospects during the short 2020 season. He had struggled in 73 plate appearances before heating up in the postseason, going 4 for 8 with a double. He then signed a 1-year deal with the Athletics in offseason, but was limited to 82 games with a rib cage and wrist injury, which was the final year of Moreland's career. He was a lifetime .251 hitter with 186 home runs and 219 doubles, and he piled up 1,000 hits, 527 runs, 618 RBIs, and he won a Gold Glove. He was also named an All-Star as well. He made about $36 million over his 12-year career. And yeah, congrats again to Moreland as well, who had a very fine career as well, providing some solid power and defense for any of the teams he played for. And with that being said, that's my brief thoughts on six Major League Baseball players who just recently announced their retirements the past month. I do have some signings I will do in a bigger video to talk about all of them at once, to get caught up on that fairly soon as well. But I at least wanted to get the retirements out of the way with tonight. So congratulations to the following people. We had Darren O'Day, Dexter Fowler, Justin Bour, Eric Thames, Mitch Moreland, and I'm forgetting one. Who's number 5? Jason Kipnis. Sorry about that. Jason Kipnis. Congratulations to all 5 players on very, very solid careers. Again, all of them having an impact on their teams in some ways. Again, O'Day being a solid 7th and 8th inning man guy. We had Fowler, who again, he was overrated at times, but again, was definitely a huge part. And I still think there was something about him and his chemistry with the Cubs when the Cubs were on the World Series run in 2015 and 2016. Justin Bour, who was probably one of the best Rule 5 draft picks to have some good success with the Marlins from 2014 to 2018. Then there's Eric Thames, who had gone back and forth from America to overseas. And of course, during his 3-year stretch in Korea, he had put on some amazing numbers at the plate and at the base on the base paths. Jason Kipnis, again, a longtime Indian and definitely one of the best second basemen in the league during that time period. And of course, Mitch Moreland as well, providing some good pop at defense. So guys, that's my thoughts on those 6 retirements. We're getting thoughts on all 6 of those guys' careers. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. You should also follow me on TikTok at the Club of the Man 1993, and as well as Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993 as well. And as always, guys, I'm checking out, and don't you forget, I am the man himself.